Hey guys, so today I'm gonna go over several news that happened throughout the month of July 2025, things I haven't had the chance to talk about. It's gonna be a lot of Trump updates, especially with the Department of Homeland Security, so immigration updates relating to undocumented immigrants, and also a lot of updates about layoffs, people getting fired, private sector, public sector, a lot of issues with unemployment because of that, but also some positive news along the way. So I just want to talk about this that I didn't haven't had the chance yet, which was from July 2nd, 2025. Flooding hits Trump's Alligator Alcatraz just a day after opening. So we already know about the Alligator Alcatraz has been opening up in Florida, and Florida is also a state that has a lot of flooding issues. Not really surprising, a lot of the East Coast in general is having flooding problems. And Alcatraz, or the prison that had it, they call it Alligator Alcatraz, but the original Alcatraz is also no too expensive to maintain, cost billions of dollars to maintain it. But Trump wants each state to have their own ICE detention center, like an Alcatraz version of an ICE detention center for undocumented immigrants. But they had an issue that was flooding issues with the Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. So that's what this article is basically about. The location they chose for the detention center is also not great. Has issues with flooding there. The spread of disease is very high to happen there. Has a high rate of that. It's an unsafe environment to also be able to provide food, shelter, bedding. It's not really a good place for that. It's very expensive to maintain also, and doesn't do shit in terms of actually preventing uh, illegal immigration or having undocumented immigrants come into your state. It won't really help as much. What we'll do for sure is cause the state itself to lose more money. Florida is already struggling to keep up with construction projects. They're struggling with keeping up with uh, the farms to be to continuous agricultures to continuously produce food. They're struggling with a lot of things because a lot of those jobs are done by undocumented workers. Instead of just providing a way for undocumented people to be able to get the green card and a path to U.S. citizenship, they do the opposite. And then Trump administration has also been targeting a lot of legal immigrants by going straight to the system, the immigration system, and see who is here under the legal status, then remove the legal status. So now you have hundreds of thousands of people undocumented because of that BS decision. It's a really big issue that's been happening, and it's very inefficient. It doesn't help ICE to go after the so-called criminal undocumented immigrants. It's just going after people who do the legal thing, and then they go to the court. They're trying to go to the court procedure, trying to go to the immigration officer, court judge to make sure they can get a green card, the H-1B visas, etc., and then you just arrest them. It doesn't make sense. So instead of going after the people who are the problem, they go after the people who are not the issue because they can't go after the criminals. The criminals are usually part of criminal organization. It's a lot harder to track them. They're also a lot more violent. It'll be scary for us to go after someone who is a national MS-13 gang member, right? Instead of someone who's just a father of with three kids, who's just trying to work 16 plus hours a day to feed his kid, and the mom also works but has to take care of the kids. Why are you going after those people? They're literally part of the community. They help the community to even exist. They help local businesses to thrive and be able to survive. You get rid of them, a lot of these local businesses are going away. So just keep that in mind when you think the undocumented immigrants are the problem. They're not. Employers are the problem who hire them and exploit them, but not undocumented immigrants. Next thing is how the Department of Homeland Security, so DHS, Department of Homeland Security, will be cutting 75% of staff in its intelligence office amid heightened threat environment. This on July 3rd, 2025. Why is this an issue? This is from CBS News. But this is an issue because when you get rid of the very people that keep Americans protected from foreign intelligence attacks, you're not going to be very well protected, right? And that's basically the point here. Why would you do that? Why would you get rid of the very people that protect Americans, citizens, and residents from foreign adversaries, foreign intelligence assaults, and things that can target our data, like social security numbers? Why would you do that? It's not logical. Instead of just reducing the budget from the federal government in departments that don't need as much, like the military, Pentagon, You're getting rid of the exact things we need to keep ourselves safe. The what will still be okay. They can move somewhere else. They can pay extra money to protect their sensitive information, their assets. But the majority of people cannot do that. They cannot afford to spend millions of dollars to protect billions of dollars of assets. Most people don't have. I mean, most people don't even have any savings in the U.S. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. So how are people gonna be able to save any asset? Even if you have a house, you could be almost losing it. You could be one paycheck away from losing your house, your car, your health insurance coverage, your, your medications they need to keep to stay alive, uh, the way you're able to afford schooling, maybe going to a college and you can't afford it, you're not getting scholarships, whatever case may be happening. People don't think like that. Oh, because of Trump cuts, a lot of colleges have lost funding. So we have to work to be able to afford it. It doesn't make sense. So these actions, I just like to clarify and inform people that Trump does this, but he has no issue with the January 6th insurrection actions by hundreds of American citizens. That he likes them, even though they attack cops, couple of police officers got killed during that day, and yeah, he helps them out. But now the actual American people are just trying to survive every day. Yeah, this is why you don't vote for fascists. It's always an issue. Next article that's also important from July 10, 2025. RFK Jr. bans undocumented immigrants from having access to some programs. So Head Start is one of the programs that being impacted by this. Why is this a problem? Why is this an issue? The thing is, a lot of undocumented immigrants, we want to assist them with some medical help. If some people have potential to spread diseases, don't you want to treat that before it spreads to communities around them? So if they want to have a vaccine or maybe have mental health, maybe they have mental health issues, why not help them? Why let that escalate and the person ends up killing themselves? Or whatever else is happening, right? Committing suicide or whatever case may be. This doesn't really help in the long term. People think, oh, this is saving us, millions of dollars. The reality is, it's not, because the business are taking more money away from your tax-paying money, from all the money you pay in taxes, than any undocumented immigrant. This actually helps. The money can be used to revitalize a community, while instead just giving to billionaires. People don't think like that who support fascists. They think, oh yeah, just take away that program from undocumented immigrants, give that to more American citizens, and it doesn't. The only thing it does is cut the program funding, and now not only undocumented immigrants gonna have that, nobody else will. So it's not really helping to improve the service. So as much as people want to claim that this is a good thing, it's not. Now, on the other end, for good news, that's from AP News website, and this is from June 4th, 2025. So this is from last month, but it's a good news. Oregon governor signs bill providing unemployment pay for striking workers. This is extremely good, positive bill for workers. Every state should have this. Instead of you striking and making no money, you should be able to strike because they have shitty working conditions and still be able to be eligible for unemployment. Why not? That's logical. Of course, employers hate this, especially the multimillionaire and billionaire, corporations and individuals. But this is great news for workers. Every worker should be happy about this. There should be something that every individual who is not an employer and who is not rich should be happy about, which is the majority of the population, over 300 million people in the US. So this is very good news. I'm sure there'll be some extreme fascist right wingers that will spin this around and this is not good. They should be working their ass off, bootlickers and working till they die. But this is a good thing. People should not be dealing with shitty working conditions and benefits. You should be able to strike, be eligible for unemployment during the strike, and force the employer to give you better benefits, pay you more, treat you like a human. Let you work, you don't have to work every single weekend. Make a deal, make a collective bargaining contract so that people don't have to just have shitty conditions. You're still gonna make a profit, but you can cut off some of the profit to enhance the livelihood of your workers. Why is that a bad thing? So instead you're making now maybe $5 billion this year and $20 million goes to the CEO, maybe you make $4 billion, $3 billion, and maybe instead of you get making 20 million as a CEO, you make 10 million. That's not a bad thing. You're still freaking rich. You still have $1 billion company. That's the way you should be thinking for the long term. It's not sustainable to just making profit, 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 and call it a day. So this is a good thing. Just want to give at least a little bit of good news. And not good news, this is from Cali this time. The governor Newsom, he backtracked on ordering state workers back to the office. This one, July 9, 2025, from CaliforniaMatters.org. Why I like this is because as a state government employee myself, working from home is just an increased flexibility. It allows us to be more efficient in many cases because the offices we go to, they're leased by the state, usually not owned by the state itself or state government agency and department, are not always well maintained. They can have AC issues, heating issues. You guys know if you're a government employee or if you're a corporate employee, let's say white collar work, you work in a corporate office. Depending on the situation, you may have that with the suit, but a lot of us local and state government employees, besides federal government employees, deal with buildings that have no AC. When it's heating emergencies, it's heat waves. No heating at all, no heating when it's cold during winter storms and stuff, and it's freezing outside, depending where you live in the US. Or you're dealing with a situation where there's no water, so you can't even wash your hands after you use the bathroom. Or the ceiling collapsed because it was raining so much, but it was not well maintained, the ceiling, the roof, and everything collapsed. That happens. A lot of people don't realize that some local and state government employees, not just federal employees, deal with some crappy working conditions. So working from home can be bad. Sometimes the internet is speed and connection is not that great in the office. In general, I have better internet connection at home than I do in my field offices, right? Than my field office, the headquarters that I go to. Depending on where my company needs me to be, I may have to travel somewhere else, but at main location that I go to. But I can be flexible with the complaints need me to me. But a lot of the state offices are now then well maintained. So this is good. Work from home does not mean that I am doing less work for the public. I'm actually more efficient and can do more for the public for the job I do to provide them service. And it makes things easier. It enhances confidentiality concerns because in my job uh, I had to really think about confidentiality a lot, and I had to be in an environment with people not around me. At home is the best time for me to conduct uh, interviews via Teams or via phone calls, and I don't have to have people around me. It's more efficient, and I don't have to worry about someone walking around. Even though I can even have a conference room, right? It's not as great as working as being at home. Those walls help, but you never know. You don't know who might be standing around trying to listen through the door. You don't know, right? I try as best I can to be, to keep everything confidential. But at home, it's much better. I don't have anyone else around me besides my wife in another room. It's way better. I don't have dozens of people walking around potentially hearing something. Even though I use earphones, I make sure I'm not just using the speaker of the laptop and all that. But still, it's something I try to at home makes things better, more efficient. Doesn't work for everyone, but it works for a lot of people. So it's good to see the governor Kelly realizing that he fucked up and he has to reverse that decision to at least a certain extent. I'm not saying that everyone will be allowed to work to 100% work from home, but damn, a lot of people can work 2-3 days from home and go to the office twice a week. That's it. Some people might be allowed to be fully remote. My wife has a job. She's also going free, work for the same state government departments I do, but she could be fully remote and have a staff in the office, and they can't just give that to her. We all still have to go to the office at least 3 times a week. Why? When during the pandemic, in a flash, they allowed us to work from home. No issue, no complaints. He didn't have to even beg for it. Post pandemic, now COVID-19 pandemic, now we are being forced to work to go back to the office at least 3 times a week. When the hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, say workers that could be fully remote, it would not make things worse for the public. It would actually improve the delivery of public service to the general public and also reduce greenhouse footprint. So we have less driving, less greenhouses, so better for to reduce the impact of climate change. It makes things easier for people who had to go out in the road, people who are truck drivers, delivery drivers, etc. Got sanitation workers, who had to go there in the street, it's nice to have less people on the road. And I read many posts in different social media platforms and talked to these largest workers who had to be there out on the road. They are happier when people are fully remote. They prefer people who don't have to be there on the road, blocking them and slowing down traffic and making their job harder. It also reduces accidents on the road, so less car accidents, less motorcycle accidents, less truck accidents, etc. So this whole idea of making private services go back to the office 100% doesn't make sense. Only a fraction have returned to the office. So keep that in mind, Cali is still doing that. Of the estimated 108,000 employees who continue to work hybrid schedules, only a fraction of them have been required to return to office because the unions did not make agreements to delay the order. Makes sense. So the thing is, I don't see why this whole idea. I keep saying I don't say. I know the behind the scenes why they do this, why they want to force us to go back to the office. Part of the reason is because of real estate property owners. They hear us not being out there using the buildings, going to the restaurants, and assuming that the local state workers are gonna just buy the food at the headquarters of the office. That's not always the case. I bring my own food. I bring my own lunch. I buy and local restaurant. Like I support the local business in my town, so I do my part. I go to other towns sometimes too, but when I work, I'm not going, especially in the headquarters office. I'm not going to the business there. I go to the business in my town where I live in, and nearby me. So it doesn't make any difference. Especially when you force me to do it, I even less like to go out of the office unless I'm leaving to go home. So it doesn't really work that way. So this is bad news though that I'm gonna give out right now. Excuse me, from InTheTimes.com from July 12, 2025. Intel to lay off 15% to 20% of factory workers. Says Intel manufacturing VP Vice President Naga Chandrasekaran in memo. I cannot pronounce the name correctly. I apologize. Chandrasekaran. So I apologize for the mispronunciation. But this is a big deal. There are a lot of layoffs. A lot. Intel is just one of many layoffs. So that's going to be tens of thousands of people being laid off. Really more in the 100,000. So, so Intel's workforce has steadily declined from nearly 125,000 employees in 2023 to approximately 109,000 by the end of 2024. That's really a big issue because they report a loss of $821 million. I can guarantee the CEO is still making millions of dollars though. Again, more layoffs. So layoffs reached highest level since 2020. New data shows. Here's why companies are cutting jobs. They're outsourcing a lot of them. They lost money, things like that. July 2nd, 2025, CBS News. So things have been really bad. In the first half of 2025, companies announced 744,000 job cuts nationwide. Part of it is also because of tariffs have increased a lot of the costs or projected increased costs. So a lot of people don't want to deal with that. Doja Fat cutting out funding and just destroying jobs in the federal government. That actually very much it didn't save any money because Trump just increased the deficit by trillions of dollars with the help of the Republicans in Congress and U.S. Supreme Court as well. So this is not a good thing. And they also mentioned tariffs here. So just explain that to you guys. Microsoft laying off about 9,000 employees in latest round of cuts. July 2nd, 2025, CNBC News. So Microsoft will cut less than 4% of its global workforce across teams, role types, and geographies. The software company also announced layoffs in May 2025, affecting around 6,000 people. Executives are still trying to reduce management layers. So that's basically the roundabout about that. The private sector lost 32,000 jobs in June 2025, barely missing expectations for a 100,000 increase. ADP says, this from CNBC News, private sector hiring unexpectedly contracted in June. Payrolls processing from ADP said Wednesday. It's a potential sign that the economy may not be as sturdy as investors believe, which is not. I think that's extremely obvious. AP News website, Wisconsin. This is good news. Supreme Court's liberal majority strikes a 176-year-old abortion ban. So this one, July 2nd, 2025, the Wisconsin Supreme Court's liberal majority struck down the state's 176-year-old abortion ban on Wednesday, ruling 4-3 that it was superseded by newer state laws regulating the procedure, including statutes that criminalize abortions only after fetus can survive outside outside of the womb. The ruling came as no surprise given that liberal justices control the court. I mean, it's also just logical. So liberal justice signal repeal was imminent. I mean, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense why we keep us. It's almost 200 years old law. A solid majority of Wisconsin voters in the 2024 election said superseding said abortion should be legal in all almost cases. So their constituents want to have abortion rights. I don't see an issue there. This is interesting from the KoreanHerald.com website from July 2nd, 2025. Korean population could drop by 85% in the next 100 years. Study shows. This is extremely bad. Ratio of 100 working individuals to 30 citizens now could rise to 140 citizens by 2000 by 2100. So the year 2100. This is extremely bad. But this is not a surprise. South Korea, Japan, and so on, and so other, in particular, Eastern Asian countries have been really reduced the population rate. Europe is also suffering that, and yet they're also still very xenophobic. A lot of European and at least Eastern Asian countries have been very xenophobic towards anyone who's not Asian or who's not European, if it's when it's a European case, or white or Asian in the Asian countries cases, um, and this is really impacting them. Just something I want to give out quickly. So on July 2nd, 2025, so space.com. So Terry Woods is running for Senate, and he's a Democratic candidate in that sense. He's trying to run as a Democrat in the midterm election 2026, and he's a ex former astronaut, and I fully agree with him going for it. I'd rather have someone who's been in the sciences, who's work as an astronaut, who understands the importance of climate change and space exploration, instead of someone who just a right winger, who's going to just cut funding to science and all the important uh, science related programs that we need to be able to have more in society. So this is just on screen that so you guys know what he says as a statement. I just thought it was interesting. I respect it. Lastly, I want to talk about July 1st, 2025, um, from the Sacramento Bee. 10 Cali cities just raised minimum wages, working workers earn more. So this is good news. A lot of the cities increased the minimum wage after Tuesday, July 1st. So what is the statewide minimum wage in Cali? Is it being increased to $16.50 per hour, which was a 50 cents increase from 2024. So this is good. How much do fast workers make in Cali per hour? They earn at least $20 per hour. But remember, this is Cali. So just because someone's making 20, 25, $30 an hour as a fast food worker is great, but California is extremely expensive. That's a very high cost of living state. Very tough. I have a friend who lives there. It definitely should be making good money, but it's not cheap. So where's the increase in Cali? So these are the cities here, like Alameda, not sure how to pronounce it. The minimum wage will increase from $17 to $17.46. Yeah, a lot of them are not increasing dramatically. It's like in the cents. They're not increasing by 5.20. There should be a lot more. Now, here's some more breakdown of the other cities like Belmont here, Berkeley. But it should be a lot more. Like these people, how is the minimum wage not even 20 when it's California? To me, that's insane. It's good news, but not amazing news. Like people should be making, at least in my opinion, as a minimum wage in Cali, for the most part, 35 to $40 an hour, no matter what the job is. Bare minimum, if not more than 40, because it's really expensive. Anyway, there's a very high cost of living state. Cali, Washington, New York, New Jersey, um, Connecticut can also be expensive. It's cheaper than just New York, but it's still quite pricey, as a Bruce say. There's so many of these Bruces that are so expensive. Yes, I know why, and they're more worthwhile to live in. I live in a Bruce myself, but the minimum wage doesn't match the very high cost of living. And unless you live in the middle of nowhere of those states, you really pay. Where you could be 2 plus hours away from everything that is actually good and useful. You're really gonna be paying a lot in so many expenses that you can never afford at home. Like a house is too much. I'm struggling right now, my wife and I, to afford a house. But that's the reality, when you want to live in a better state, but it's really expensive. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section, especially regarding the whole immigration news, layoffs. I really want to know like how, if the layoffs have been affecting any of you guys and what you guys may have done to reduce the full impact of it, if at all. And if not, I don't know if you need help. I can make a video to depending on what state you live in. I can make a video talk about resources that your state may have. You can ask me for that. I'll make a video about it. And I have no issue doing that if you need assistance. And that's really it. If you like the video, like and subscribe. If you watch this on TikTok, follow us on TikTok and can support us on Patreon. Have a good day, guys.